Good morning, MIS 304. This is a recording to show you how, or to review sum, average, minimum, and maximum. As you can see from the screen, we have an Excel spreadsheet that shows the balance sheet for Yahoo. And we are asked to find out the sum of total current assets, the sum for total long-term assets, and then our total assets, which would be a total of the current assets and the long-term. And the same thing for the liabilities. So that would be a good example of using sum. Now, in order to sum a set of cells, you need to move your cursor to where you want to insert the sum. And as you can see, your numbers are all consecutive, one after each other. So in that case, you don't really need to enter a formula. You can use the auto sum at the very top. And if you actually choose it, the default is sum. You can pull down the menu and change the sum to average or count, maximum and minimum, and we will be doing that in a little bit. But for now, if I have a set of consecutive numbers that I want to add, then I will move my cursor to where I want the sum to appear, and I will click on auto sum. Now Excel will suggest a set of cells for you, and it will say, do you want to sum from B7 to B11? You can see the numbers written right there. And that's exactly what we want to add. You may ask yourself, how did Excel know? Why didn't it take the date, for example? And the answer is, anytime Excel would see an empty cell, then it will stop. So because it sees a number above and a set of numbers above the cell where you want the total to appear, it will highlight these numbers only. If you want to accept the suggestion, you just hit enter. So let's try it one more time with the long-term assets. I'm going to move my cursor to where I want the total to appear. Someone may ask, is this an empty cell? No, it's not. It has right now a 0. So again, I'm going to move my cursor here. I assume Excel will highlight only these. It will stop right here because this is an empty cell. Let's try it. So I'm going to just use the default and see it has suggested B14 to B20. Okay, we'll do the same for these cells. So again, click on auto sum, suggest this is for year 2009, and again okay, I'm going to do it for the current liabilities, but this time I don't want to copy, I don't want like to repeat the steps for 2009. I want to write the formula or to have the formula written and then copy it to the new column. So I'm going to click on auto sum, hit enter, total liability, the total long-term liabilities. And now I'm going to choose that first cell and hit Control C to copy it. And then I'm going to move to J10 and I will hit Control V. And how do I know I have the right formula? I will look up and see it says from J7 to J9, whereas this the H column, the formula there, H7 to H9. Excel will automatically update the column because you're copying since I'm copying the formula now to column J, it will change the H7 to H9, and the H7 to H9 will be now J7 to J9. So again, Control C, and then move to the J and hit Control V. Now, how can I find my total assets? If I add everything, then I will have, I will double the values, because this is already the total for current assets, and here is the total for long-term assets. All I need for the total assets is just an addition of these two numbers. So now I need to write a formula. Every formula starts with an equal sign, and it would be equal to the total current assets. So you click inside of that cell, hit the plus sign, and then highlight the value in long-term assets. So in order to add just two numbers, not consecutive ones, you will have to write a formula. Formula starts with equal to, and you highlight the cells that you want to add. Now, I'm going to do it right here. Again, equal to, highlight the total, the total for current assets, hit the plus sign, and then highlight the long-term assets. Let's do it in here. Total liabilities would be equal to the current liabilities plus the long-term. And I'm not going to repeat it for column J. I will hit Control C to copy it, and then I will paste it using Control V. The stockholder equity is just the sum of these numbers. So since they are consecutive, I'm going to use auto sum. And copy the formula, Control C, paste it right here, Control V. Total liabilities and equity. Now, I cannot add everything because that's just the total liabilities and the total stockholder equity. So it will be a formula that starts with an equal sign, highlight the total liabilities, hit the plus sign, and highlight the total stockholder equity. And once you have the formula, copy it to the 2009. How do I know that this balance sheet is correct? Well, one thing you knew from accounting is that the debit must be equal to the credit. And I have, for the total assets in 2010, a value of 14,928, 104. It's actually 14 million, I'm sorry. 14,928,104, and the same value appear in the credit side. Now let's look for 2009. Again, I have the same value, so everything is correct right there. So that's regarding sum. If you want to sum any set of consecutive numbers, you will go to the cell where you want to insert the sum and hit auto sum. Now, let's say I want to find out the total assets for 2010 and 2009. So I want to add the two numbers horizontally now. So that's not, I mean, like we normally don't do that in business, but I just wanted to show you how can I sum horizontally. So when you're doing horizontally, you have to enter a formula. So you will click on equal and sum, open the parentheses, and highlight the values that you want to sum. One more time, equal to, sum, open the parentheses, and highlight the set of cells that you want to add horizontally. Now, when you see the hashes, that means there isn't enough space in the column. All you have to do is move your cursor to the very top and double click. That didn't actually do it, but doesn't sound right. Let's see if this has anything in it. Okay, now I realize why it was a problem. See, the cell is formatted as a date. Well, that's not a date, it should be a number. So I'm going just like to choose number, and now you see it correctly. I want to have a comma style, and that adds 2 decimal places. I want to remove the decimal places, so I'm going to remove it. Now, another thing that I want to show you is, let's say the number is like this, but you want to format it like the above number. So you just like go to the cell that has the number that is correctly formatted, and you click on Format Painter, and then you click on the cell that you want to format, and see, it's automatically formatted like the one you have before. One more time. If I want to format E9 the same way like E7, E8, I will highlight E8 first. I will click on Format Painter, and then I will highlight E9, and it automatically gets formatted the same way like E8. Okay, now what if I want an average of a number, or what is the minimum asset then, or the maximum asset? So in here I'm going to write minimum or lowest asset, and there is a function called min, and I want to find the minimum of all of my assets. So I'm going to highlight the cells that have the current asset, but I also have long term, so I don't want to take the total, so I'm going to skip the total. I will hit the control key and highlight all of the other assets, and hit enter. So the lowest asset is a 0 because accumulated amortization is a 0, deferred long-term asset charge is a 0. Let's say I want the highest asset. It should be exactly the same, but now we use max. So in here, equal to max, open the parentheses, highlight the numbers. Make sure you do not highlight the total. Hit the control key, highlight the rest of the numbers, and hit enter. So my highest asset is a 4,756, and that's the long-term investment. How about my average asset? So what's the average value for assets? Again, equal to average, open the parentheses, highlight the cells that I want to find the average of, avoid the total by hitting control key and highlighting the rest, and hit enter. So the average value for the asset is 1,244,000. Okay, so that's all really that I wanted you to learn in that first Excel review: how to do the sum, how to do the minimum, how to do the maximum, and how to do the average. Thank you all for listening.